Hello everyone, it's You Got Nerfed, and this is a video review of the XShot, Zuru XShot Faze Clan Ragequit, a spring-powered pump-action blaster that's basically the XShot equivalent of a rival blaster. Let's get into it. Starting out with an external overview of the blaster. Let's start up front, no end strike barrel lug. This is not a Nerf brand blaster. Going up top is a little sight that corresponds with something up here that's really not going to help you aim, but also up top is an XShot style rail on there for all your XShot type attachments or modified Nerf attachments. Well, get back to the back. Here is a little opaque sight thing that is also not going to help you aim, but it looks super duper cool. Get back to the back. I don't know if this is supposed to be a Picatinny rail. It looks pretty fake to me, but there's that on the back here. Getting around to the back, this is actually how you load the blaster. It is rear loaded. You will grab on either side. There is this little red piece here, and you'll just pull that all the way back until it locks into place like that, and then this red hole shows out here, and you'll just push rounds in through that, and then when you're ready to fill it up, you can press this button, and the spring will push it all the way forward, or the rounds forward. That's how it will seat into the blaster. A pretty cool internal capacity. This is technically an internal magazine. The capacity is 8 rounds. Right, and it comes with, speaking of rounds, it comes with these XShots, these red XShot rounds, which are slightly smaller than the rival rounds. This is a blue rival Accu round, and this is a little bit smaller than this. Now, these will fit into this blaster and work just fine, but these ones are smaller and designed for this blaster, but it can work with these rounds. If you happen to have, for whatever reason, a projectile that's in a ball shape that is bigger than this, I probably wouldn't use anything larger than a rival round in there. But these ones work fine. These rounds are also cross-compatible with rival blasters as well in there too. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but that is the internal magazine system. Reminds me of actually like an airsoft blaster or gun, and it reminds me of a loaded system that you might find in there. Back to the back is not really, this really isn't a stock to say, it's more of just a back part of it, but you're probably going to want to shoulder the blaster like this, but this is probably designed to be held out here like this. Doesn't really function well as a stock. Getting down to the grip and stuff, grip is, I wouldn't say proportional to the blaster, but it is smooth and comfortable nonetheless with that. Everything's painted clear, by the way. Random place to put this segment, but it is painted clear so you can see all the internals and all of that stuff. Super tacky and cool. That here. Plastic quality is not the greatest, especially down in the grip area, but it works pretty well. I have small hands, and this is more than enough to grip onto there. There's a little sling or lanyard mount down at the bottom. That getting down to the trigger system, trigger pull is very smooth and very, very clicky and very responsive as well. This blaster does not have slam fire. Also, located on the right side, not present on the left side, is this is the unjamming switch right here. You can literally do that. Once you are primed back, you're not able to prime it again, but sorry, I had a little bit of a mess up, but you're not able to prime it again, but you can hold this switch back and snap it back into place. Sorry about that pause as well. I was just looking at my notes. That is not an unjamming button. I don't know what that switch does. That is not an unjamming switch. I don't know what that does. So sorry about that. I had to take a few takes with that. That is staying in the video, but yeah, I don't know what that switch does. It might be a mock switch of some sort. But also getting down here to the trigger system, there is a trigger safety. If the right side is poking out here, this is the right side here, your blaster is on safe. If you push it into the left side, your blaster is ready to fire just like that. Then up to the front is the access door to clear out any jams or malfunctions. I personally didn't have any jams or malfunctions with this blaster, which is great through my testing procedure. Getting up to the front is the pump handle, or pump action to prime. You do that and you're ready to fire once. Again, the blaster does not have slam fire. It's a very good, comfortable place to place this. Prime weight is pretty decent for this blaster with it, but I wouldn't say anything harder than like a rival blaster. In fact, most of my rival blasters, the prime is harder than this. This doesn't really shoot quite as hard as some of the rival, but it is indeed still up there in that. But that is the pump handle, works really, really well as well. And that's all the external features to go over with the Ragequit. Let's see it out on the range. So I would like to mention this segment before I do the firing demo, because I just realized I made some mistakes and I don't want to redo the entire take of the overview. I miscounted for the rounds that I could fit in here. The capacity of the internal magazine is actually 14 rounds, not 8. That is a significant difference, so I wanted to note that before you get in there. Now, sometimes I was able to fit in 15 with some significant issues, and you can put in less in there due to just how this feeding system works. You can put in as many as you want in there, but max it was recommended 14. That's what the box advertises in there. I was able to jam in one more in there, but that's just to correct my 8 that I said was in there. It is more than 8 rounds can fit in here. First, starting out with the red XShot rounds. Now firing blue Nerf rifle Accu rounds. Firing analysis and conclusion of the XShot Faze Clan Ragequit. Fired fairly well. I did have a couple hiccups with the feeding issue, and I don't know if it's because of this spring tension thing, but I've had some issues. Maybe it was because when I put in the 15 rounds instead of the 14, I might have overloaded the things, but there were times where if the ring held the ball in there, that the ball or the round ended up coming all the way behind here, like behind the feeding mechanism back here, so they were literally just out here falling out of the blaster. I had a few of those, and I don't know if that was just because I put in too many of those, but I had a couple issues with that, and sometimes there was a couple issues of the blaster dry firing, and there was still a round in there, so I have one unit on that, but I ran into that a couple times while firing this. So the feeding, I think it's a feeding issue that is the inconsistency, not the firing. When it actually fired, it fired very well. There weren't any squids and stuff. It was mainly in the loading mechanism and the magazine where that issue occurred. So I'm pretty sure that it's this feeding thing right here that is causing that issue. With that being said, the chrono data readings with the included XShot rounds, I got about 90 FPS, which I don't know what to compare that to. If there's more of this type of thing in Zuru XShot, I actually haven't researched that, nor have I fired a blaster like that in the XShot series. But if we want to compare it to something like the rival par, for that one, that's shooting pretty much 90 to about 100 FPS for that par. I don't think that that's particularly fair to compare to, but that's the only thing that I have else to compare to. Unless if we want to compete to the XShot par of about 90 feet per second, but that's with full-length darts, and a dart and a ball is a different projectile altogether. So I thought I'd mention that, but to be fair, to try to compare it to rival blasters, other rival blasters on the market, even though that this is indeed a Zuru XShot blaster, with the Accu rounds, I threw it up on my chronograph and got about 94 feet per second with it. There were some that were in the upper ranges of about 100, but 94 was about the average that you got, which is right on that par for rival blasters. So this thing is shooting pretty decently hard with that. So overall, what do I think of this? And just in case with the name, what does it mean, Faze Clan? Faze Clan is, I believe, a video game team, basically an esports team, if I remember correctly. That's what Faze Clan is, if I did my research correctly. But so this is technically like almost a sponsorship with that. They got partner with XShot, and then boom, this blaster comes out. So if you're wondering what's the Faze Clan part, just to give you guys a little bit of marketing, that's what that is with it, if I did that research correctly, which I believe, because I've heard of Faze Clan before. So overall with this blaster, my thoughts on it, it fires okay. Feeding issues make me want to avoid this. I'm not a fan of these type of spring tension type of blasters. I've seen these used in other blasters, and they're okay, but not as reliable as even an internal, as much as like an internal magazine, nor a magazine fed blaster. At this point, they should just allow it to be compatible with normal rival stick mags. I think that would have been a little bit better. I like the comfortability of this. The plastic quality could be a little bit better. I mean, it's XShot, but it's nothing horrible, really. The proportions seem a little bit weird, but it's a 14-shot blaster with this, not an 8-shot blaster, this is actually a decent capacity for a primary. So if you're into rival and that type of thing, this might actually fit a rig pretty well. There's not a whole lot of rival primaries that shoot 14 rounds, unless if you're going to go hopper fed at that one. But if you want a spring primary with it, that you're not having to sit there and reload a 7-round or even a 12-round magazine, you might consider this. This is a little not rival. This is XShot, but you could totally count this in a little bit into war like that, and this could fit somebody's rig. I mean, the pump action is fine. I wish this blaster had slam fire. Again, I say that a lot about a lot of the blasters, but some of them just should. I feel like that this is a blaster that you can, with the capacity, you totally could go in there and just start spewing foam everywhere. This would be a perfect blaster to do that. And unfortunately, I'm finding a lot of blasters that I say that for. But I think overall, I think that it's all right. I probably wouldn't personally be using this. Would I recommend this? No, I think if you're going to do, unless if you're looking for a decent spring primary that's basically rival, and for whatever reason you don't want to deal with magazines, this is going to be a little bit more cumbersome trying to reload this internal magazine as opposed to a stink mag, because you can carry those more on your body, more rival mags than this thing. But for the capacity itself, that might draw you to this blaster as well. But personally, I can't recommend over everything that's really out there on the market. At this point, you might as well just go to hoppers. It's probably going to be better for you with it. This is a weird niche in between. This is like the max primary that you could get. If you're going to not go magazines, but you don't want to go hoppers, this is probably like the maximum that you're going to get out of something rival-like. If you're firing those kind of projectiles. But works pretty well. I think the feeding issues could have been from that Zuru XShot. You really need to refine some things about some of your blasters. But still not a horrible blaster. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, because I'm more on the negative side on this blaster, but I think that it still deserves some bit of praise. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.